Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmur. And joining us now, the baby New Year, Bobby Blaze. What's happening, Bobby?
Hey, man. Happy New Year, Professor. I'm just so glad to be back on the air with you. I'm also glad that you forgot to give me the proper introduction of Billy Blaze. I'm glad you forgot that. We kind of left off there. Happy New Year to all the good fans out there. You've been waiting for this episode. I hope it holds up. We're just going to do some house cleaning and have a good time with it like we always try to do. And it's good to be back on the air with our wrestling fans and with you, my man.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it takes me, like, after we've been off for a while, it takes me a week or two to remember what the intro to the show is. And I was going to throw in and member of the Jim Cornette family this time, but I got all jumbled up over myself. Hey, I didn't know you were trained by Virgil.
Yeah, well, it's some tough training, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a lot of meat, sauce, and fuck money involved in there, I'm sure.
Yep. That's what it was.
Yeah. Hey, so it is 2022, and it feels a whole lot like 2021 and 2020 already, but how's your New Year holding up, Bobby?
Hey, so far, so good. 2 years ago today, we're recording this, I went into the hospital for about 7 days, so I'm trying to overcome that, thinking, negative thinking. I don't want that. But I have been to the eye doctor last Friday, and I had my first cataract removed off my left eye, and I seem to be doing okay with that right now. It's kind of one of those things I couldn't wait to get it done, to be honest with you. If all goes well, I'll visit the doctor this week and have the other one done around the 20th. So it went pretty smooth, I think, man. We had a lot of snow. Let's see, on Thursday, it started at 1 o'clock. It said it was going to start at 1. Some trickles started coming out at 12:30. At 1 o'clock, it snowed from 1 until 10, nonstop. Luckily, I had a ride over to the facility where I had to go to for eye surgery, and the one ride didn't work out, and I won't go into details about that. But my man Casey King came through for me because he has a Jeep.
Hey, there you go.
And, man, he got up early and picked me up, and we got to that eye clinic, no problem whatsoever. And due to the fact several people had canceled, because they asked me later today, they called back to verify could I make it, and I said yes. My friend's got a Jeep. Casey texted me and said, not only do I have a Jeep, I've got an Eagle, and we're going to make it, so I like that. But anyway, I got there. They only had 4 people out of, I don't know how many is supposed to be scheduled that day. I was in and out. I was right on schedule for the, by the time I filled out my paperwork, right on schedule for 8:30 appointment, and you have to leave there and go to another appointment. When I got to the second office back over here in town, because the surgery was actually done over in Ohio. It's kind of a weird setup, but nonetheless, I'm not complaining. There was probably about 3 or 4 people there, and man, I was had everything done in less than 2 hours, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Due to that snow, it helped me out, man, because a lot of people canceled. But I'm feeling real good. I have to wear a patch when I go outside for the next couple days, and then I have to wear a patch when I sleep. But other than that, man, it went real good. I'm starting to see, pretty clear. I get a floater here every once in a while, like I was telling you earlier there. If I look directly into the computer, that I take my eyes off, there's some little black, float by.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I'm doing pretty good, I think.
You should get a parrot, and you could do a whole new pirate gimmick or something,
Well, I know. Someone did. You know the old joke, don't you, about the parrot that always cussed, and he had the owner. He'd tell him, owner had a patch on his eye, and the parrot would say, "Fuck you, one eye,"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if you do that to me again, I'm gonna stick your ass in the freezer. And of course, the parrot did it, and he stuck him in the freezer for about 30 minutes. Took him out of there. He said, "Now what you got to say?" And the parrot said, "Well, fuck you, one eye, And so next thing you know, he said, by God, I'll stick you in there for a couple hours this time. Well, when the guy opened the freezer up, there's the parrot, frozen, stone dead, but it's got its left hand or wing over its one eye and a middle finger up on the other arm in the wing. So, you get the point. Someone did come by my house and drop off something. I won't say who. And I heard him knock, and I was putting my house shoes on, and I opened my window to make sure it's who I thought it was going to be. Just peeked out through there, and the guy was standing there, hand over his eye, flipped me off, and I was like, "Yeah, I got you. Just leave it outside for me." Dropped me some pizzas off. I had some frozen pizzas and some beer, and the necessity that you need when you're going to be
laid up
in
for a
couple
while.
days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good hookup for that too. But anyway,
oh boy, what are you?
There's Cow Dog ring in the new year.
She has developed this new behavior when I'm on the phone or when I'm wearing headphones. She gets especially rambunctious and crazy now. So she knows like when I'm talking to other people, and so she's
jealous.
Yeah, starts getting a little nutty, little anxiety issues over here with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week we're not really going to do like our typical format. I mean, we've got a topic we're going to hit a little bit later because just kind of an interesting thing I want to hear a little bit about. But I do want to hit some news stories this week, and I'm going to start with a softball. Okay. They announced yesterday or the day before that Mickie James, the women's champion of Impact, is going to be in the WWE Royal Rumble this year. Didn't they just fire her by shipping all her shit out in a garbage bag like just months ago?
Actually, earlier this year, last year, she was fired, and that was the way, I guess, they shipped her stuff to her. But also, it's good to see that they're able to still conduct business professionally. And I heard that, or I read, probably pretty much like you have, what a huge statement that makes for Impact for one of their employees to be going to the Royal Rumble. So I think that's pretty cool, man. And I like to see all these women succeed that are trying to in the wrestling business. And it's kind of sad that we're going to talk about releases here in just a minute, but I guess due to the circumstances, I don't know who the person was. I can't remember the exact story, but I guess they just put her shit in a trash bag and had it dropped off or whatever, and that was that. But she probably a very forgiving heart, and also getting some good coin for that. So good for her, man.
Yeah, I just we're hearing about all these releases, and I've got a couple theories I'm going to throw out there when we talk about them a little bit later. But for them to fire her like the way they did, and then immediately go back and like, hey, we don't have enough people to fill out our Royal Rumble. Why don't you hop companies for one show and come back? I'd be like, hey, here's a fucking anchor. Why don't you go drown somewhere?
Well, I think it's probably just business only.
Yeah.
And like I said, she must have a kind heart. I don't know. But I know probably about 99% of the other people would have said, hey, fuck you all, or here's your anchor, like you said. But apparently she knows what's best for business because, she's been on Impact and NWA, and now she's back in WWE again. I mean, that's getting out there, man.
Absolutely.
That's good for business. So
absolutely.
That's I look at it.
Nick Aldis lucked out when he married her. That's all I'm gonna say, because it's like, hey, the wrestling money's dried up, but I just got my royalty check from all my country albums.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, he lucked out there. I just thought that was kind of a shitty thing, like to see, just as a fan to see that they're firing people and then having to like go back and like, hey, by the way, could you dig us out of this date, please?
Right, right. Well, there's a lot of quality people, and last year it was 80-plus people that were released. Some of that was some contracts were expired,
Oh, sure.
Most of them releases, though, that went across coaches and staff and wrestlers as well. The one, some of these people really, kind of like you said, I can't think of who it was I was going to mention. Someone was on the NXT roster, and then I called up to the main roster with a Karrion Kross maybe, and then a couple of days later got, maybe a couple of weeks later got released. I guess with his wife Scarlett, with a
Bordeaux.
But she is a gorgeous lady.
Yes,
if you've ever seen her in person.
I've never seen her in person. I've just seen her photographs, but yeah.
Unreal beauty, man. Unreal beauty. But yeah, that's just kind of weird, though. They got released, but prior to that, he got called up to the main roster. You think, well, that's a good thing, right? Don't think they've done too much with them there. Let a couple things happen, and boom, you're released, I'm more concerned about a couple people I know personally. I've spoken to one of them just by DMs, and they seem to be they think they're going to be okay. But Scott Armstrong, I mean, my goodness, man, the guy's been around the business since the day he was born, you know, and then grew up with a wrestling father and wrestling family, and man, he could do any job. You know, he was a referee there. Of course, he's been a wrestler, referee, writer, producer, agent, whatever. And his brother, Road Dogg, Brian Armstrong, you know, them guys have been loyal, you know. And I told Scott when I saw him a few years back, they know they work for a first-class company, man. That company is just first class when it comes to, you know, your backstage production, your, you know, the way you treat your employees. So you know, I think you have to put in everything in perspective as to the way it goes. And your director of talent and development and head of your global recruiting, William Regal, got let go, and he was there for 21 years. And he wrote a really cool tweet, you know, about, hey, he just appreciated the opportunity. He was gladly happy, basically working carnivals when he was a youngster over in England, and you know, now he's top company in the world. I think those guys like that will probably land on their feet in the wrestling business. AE will probably, you know, grab them guys right up. I would imagine if that's what they want to do and continue in the business. But you know, Samoa Joe, Keith Lee, some of those guys still active. You know, Keith Lee, they was giving him a huge push at one time, and then I guess that just kind of stopped, and then he, you know, things happen, man. It's business, and most of the time it's just business only, and maybe that goes back to the Mickey James thing. It's business only.
Well, you know, they've been stockpiling talent for a long time, but I guess on last year's shareholders meeting, the phone-in shareholders meeting, somebody said, hey, you know, I noticed this AEW is snapping up a lot of talent as we let them go. And Vince McMahon's reply was along the lines of, well, we can help them out with that. So, you know, is he trying to just flood the market with talent that they'll have to pick up? Or, you know, I mean, you know, what's kind of going on here? I think, and I know a lot of people are saying it and there's been no evidence to back it up, but I've been in corporations who are getting ready to go through an acquisition or be acquired. And this sure feels like things you do to look really profitable before you go up for sale.
Yeah, that's what you was telling me off air the other day.
Yeah.
So you think they're going to sell?
I sure think so. I know it sounds ridiculous, and like deep down, I'm just like, there's no way. But I start looking at things like all these people that are getting cut loose, because like Hunter was the guy who was going to take over and save the company when the old man retired, right?
Right.
All these people getting let go right now are Hunter people.
Yep.
You know, it kind of feels like they're going to just go ahead and, you know, they've already rebranded themselves as a marketing and licensing company. It feels to me like they're going to, you know, do whatever they're going to do, make the company look, you know, all sorts of profitable, which it is. It's more profitable than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And now they're cutting contracts, which is just going to drive that up even more. But yeah, it feels like to me that they're going to just, you know, sell to like Fox or Disney or somebody like that and then just walk away.
Yeah, that's a good point. You've mentioned that off there before to me.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
It's just, you know, it's something I don't want to say out loud, because at the same time I say that and I think that, I also think there's no way Vince McMahon would sell that company, but there is. He doesn't give a shit. He hates wrestling. You know?
Yeah. Well, let's move on to some more news. What else you got for us?
Oh, let's see here. Matilda the Hun from Glow Wrestling passed away yesterday at the age of 70.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a story I saw later last night. You know, kind of caught me off guard. And you know what? As dumb as it was, I enjoyed Glow, and she was a fun villain to have. Over the top.
Yeah.
She was as over the top as Ricardo Montalban was as Khan. It was just a lot of fun to watch her, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen a couple years ago with social media that she has health problems, and that's been several years back. So, 70 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that series Glow on Netflix. To be honest with you.
Oh, sure, that was a good show.
I really do.
Yeah,
they got some good actresses in there. Some, good-looking ladies to look at. And they all know the roles, and they play them, and that's what the business. It's what it's come to. And I'm a Mark Maron fan anyway, and I think he does a good job on there. So.
Oh yeah, you know what? He's actually pretty good. I remember him when he was doing. Hosting shows on like Comedy Central when it was a brand new channel. It was, kind of awkward, sure. And but yeah, he's always been funny. I know a lot of people listen to his podcast and like him quite a bit.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's up, fuckers?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuckers? Yeah, I do. I like. That's actually one of the first podcasts that I, used to download, listen to, and subscribe to was that one there, and then probably the only one it's probably the only one that I've listened to longer than I have Joe Rogan. I'll say that. And also I liked when he was on IFC. He had that Mark Maron show on IFC. It was pretty cool too. Always had different guests on there each week. It was pretty cool. Where he actually recorded his podcast for TV. Had some good characters on there each week. But all right then, man. Let me just give a shout out to some books. How about that, man?
Sure thing.
We got to sell some books.
We got to sell some books over here.
We got to do our own sponsorship here, man. I've got 2 books out there. If you're new to the program, you're going to hear it many times. If you've already subscribed to our channel, we appreciate it, and you already know the drill, and that is this: Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel is available at tinyurl.com/Blaze Book 1, and that was my first book I wrote. Again, it was want to draw a blank for some reason, Jeremy. Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel, and again, just go to tinyurl.com/Blaze Book 1. The second one I kicked out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. Just go to tinyurl.com/Blaze Book 2, and that's the way the professor has it written up. They're available on Amazon, and just go right over there and hit one of those links, and it takes you right to it, and the program gets a little bit of kickback from it. We also have www.belltobellblaze.com. You can get some cool t-shirts there, and you can also get the books off of that directly too. And again, our program will get a little bit of kickback out of that. Some pretty cool t-shirts on there. Speaking of which, if you go to tinyurl.com/Blaze Shirts, that's with 10-minute time limit. They got some pretty cool shirts over there. So I appreciate y'all visiting any of those sites. Just to help the program out and help a brother out, you know what I'm saying, man? Let's start off 2022 right. Let's get some money in our pockets. Jing-a-ling.
Let's get it. Let's see here. Yeah. That had me heading in a direction, and it just completely blew right past me. So I had gotten a few messages a week or 2 back here, and somebody was just like, "Hey, are you guys okay? No episode this week?" And no, we just took a couple weeks off, guys. We were kind of hitting that point where we're pitching ideas to each other, and then we realized, oh yeah, we've done that episode already.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like time to like, hey, let's sit back, clear our brains for a little bit, do a little wash down. It's the first time we've missed an episode in a year and a half.
Yeah. So holidays, like you said.
Yeah.
I put out a tweet the other day. We do have some upcoming ideas for shows. The first one I put out, Jeremy, I had some people send them to me. I don't know if you got very many replies over to the Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter, but your favorite British wrestlers, if you want to send us those, either at Bobby Blaze 744 on Twitter or at the Geekish Cast is Jeremy, or at Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter, and there's also a Facebook page for that one. Send us your favorite British wrestlers. The question, Jeremy, I guess, is I've got enough for a top 10 very easy. I've got my personal probably top 4 or 5 that I know about from England, and if I said that English, a couple people put in like I'll use Fit Finlay example. He's Irish, so I didn't know if we needed to open it up to the UK or just keep it at the British wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of kick that around for one of our episodes coming up.
So British is the islands. So all of that is Britain.
Well, see, there was a kind of it wasn't an argument. Some people were trying to do differentiate on the little tweet I sent out, and it's like, well, if this guy's Irish and this guy, I put it out there as British or English wrestlers. So once we find that, we need to, once we decide to do an episode, we need probably to
refine that a little bit.
Refine, yes, that's yes.
I mean, I don't think
that way no one will be pissed off at us.
Yeah, I don't know if the Irish actually consider themselves to be part of the British Islands, but I do, and I believe most geographers do. But, you know, the UK is England, North Ireland, Wales, and Scotland.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a country that's made up of 4 kingdoms in that country. British, as I've always understood it, was all those islands over there, which would include Ireland.
Okay.
But, you know, at the same time, I don't want to have somebody blow up like a garbage can in front of a school bus or something,
right.
You know, because
no fucking RA stuff here, guys.
Yep, exactly.
And I think we've got, we're kicking this around. Damn, just caught a couple floaters up my wall there. Woo.
Sure they weren't spiders? They could have been spiders.
No, there's 2 nails over there, man, on the Ramones album. That's all I see. But we also thought about doing it for Japan, you know, top 10. I don't know how we do top 10 Japanese. That may be a list of 20 or 50 or something. I don't know.
Well,
so we have some, you know, different top 10 topics coming up. Also, we're going to have hopefully a guest coming in the next couple of weeks, probably on the about 2 weeks out. I will not be here. Jeremy would be happy to know that I'm going to a WWE house show.
Well, maybe you can pick some stuff up at their yard sale, you know.
Yeah. So no, myself and some of the students, we're going to be going to the watch that show on a Sunday afternoon show.
So you can be all like, hey, you see that hip toss? Don't do it like that.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Now, I will say this, and if you've ever been to a house show, and it's been several years back since I've been to a couple, they usually let the guys work out there, man. Usually get about 10 or 12 minutes in and you know, get to see a little bit more than what you get to see on TV.
Yeah.
And that's not, you know, you get a little bit of music, they get in a ring, boom, they get to do their stuff, they get to sell it and put it out there a little bit more before, you know, they have a finish, whatever, you know, the finish is, but it's usually pretty good. I will say that when they're not recording a Raw or a SmackDown or something like that. Speaking of other shows, there's a big show coming for FTC. I've got to get this out there, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
February 12th, FTC at a Time Warp presents My Way. It's going to be at the Boyd County Community Center in Ashland, Kentucky. It's for Fight TV. It will be on Fight TV. As of Thursday, I'm not sure if it's going to run live or on a 1-hour delay. I'll know that on this Tuesday. But we've got Rikishi coming in, Enzo, Redbeard, Jordan Grace, Luscious Lawrence, he's from OVW, Scotty Two Hotties coming in, Matt Cross, Shane Storm. In our last man standing match, you'll like, yes, you're going to have Brox Boulder and Jock Sampson.
Oh.
Got a girls match. I'm really excited for this. We got Reese Ramon against Sarah Bubbles. And then there's a triple threat ladder match between Caleb Thorne, Juan, and Psych Ward. So, and there's about 3 other matches that I haven't even mentioned, but they're on there. I do know that. So it's going to be, show starts at 6:30. There's 2 dark matches, and it goes, like I said, it could go live at 7 or it could go on a delay at 8 for Fight TV, but it's going to be about a 3-hour show and be well worth your time if you're in the Ashland, Huntington, Ironton, tri-state area. Again, that's FTC, and Time Warp is a sponsor of that as well. Pritchard Lawn Care is a sponsor of that, and some other people as well, so I just want to put that out there because there's some good people that I know of, you know, and one of our advertisers said this better be a good show, or his girl told him this better be a good show because apparently they have some other plans, and he said, hey, if Bobby Blaze has anything to do with it, it'll be a good show. Well, only thing I do with it, I've got a event license. I can stay in the back, you know, just kind of help from the back. Too damn old to be getting in the ring, man. But I can assure you that if we book this thing right, and it looks like it has been, it could be a very good show to start off the new year. So,
well, excellent. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, again, that's February 12th.
Yeah, well, that's right.
I'll speak more about it Going to try to get you someone to interview, hopefully, Jeremy,
Okay,
from the show.
yeah.
I don't know who, but we're going to have someone in, like I said, on the 23rd. Hopefully someone from that program, wrestling show, will be able to call you or you call them and get an interview out of them and put that up for the show in a couple weeks. So.
No, that'd be excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought a new piece of recording equipment here, and I can actually Bluetooth it to my phone and take a phone call and have it still come over my my regular recording software now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a big improvement, sounds like.
Spent a few $100 on it, so I'm hoping it works out. This is my first time really using it, so
yeah.
We'll see how everything goes.
Yeah, cool. Well, it sounds pretty good over here on this side, man.
Well, that is good. Yeah, you're coming through nice and clear as well. So
it's very clear here today. I'll say that too. After that snow, it went up to 40, 42 or 45, melted relatively quick in the next day or so. But today, it got to about 35, and this is a pisser for me right here, man. It's gonna be 17 tonight. Tomorrow, a high of 32, and tomorrow night, 13. And, man, my God, it got down to 7 and 11, two different days last week. And that's just not old man weather. That's old man winter.
Yeah.
Man, I just stayed under that blanket, man.
We have not gotten cold yet this year. I think we've been down in the 40s, and that's it. And sometimes, we get down, every few years we'd get down to the point where it was cold enough for pipes to burst and that kind of shit. It doesn't snow in this part of California. I think it snowed here twice in my life, and only for like a few minutes, and then it's done.
Okay.
So it's been unseasonably warm. Fortunately, we did start getting some rain a while back, but it looks like that's done now too. We don't really get a winter here anymore, unfortunately.
Well, see, December was really mild for us. It was unseasonably warm here, too. But, like, that Thursday, the other day, man, I mean, OVW even canceled their show. I know a couple people out there that was actually, on their way to the show or on their way home trying to get back from the show. And out there on the highway was, I guess, some major traffic jams out there due to the weather.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can't remember what state it was, but people had to spend the night on the freeway.
Yeah, that was over in Virginia, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Virginia,
As far as Kentucky, Virginia, I think I'm not sure if it's around Richmond or not, but now here in Kentucky, it was around Winchester and Lexington. There was a 50 to 75 car pileup down there.
Oh, Jesus.
And people were getting out and getting hotel rooms and this and that. And I tell you something else, listen to this. Now, I don't know the full story on this. This is out of Louisville, and I'm about 3 hours from there, man. But check this out. A fucking guy was out, people leaving their stranded cars. This guy went out and fucking stole like 3 or 4 of the cars and went out and sold them to people. I mean, he got busted. It was on a police thing. I saw it this morning through my news feed on YouTube, and I started cracking up. I didn't go into great details about it, but it's like basically he sold 4 cars, I think, and went out and sold them relatively cheap and went back to find some more stranded cars, So anyway, he got busted for it. But damn, people would do anything, I guess,
Yeah, I mean, what did he think, that the snowfall would never end, and so the cops would
Exactly. I don't know what he was thinking. It just had 3 or 4 police reports up there on top of my screen. I was like, I was scanning through some other stuff. Like, I'll tell Jeremy about that. That's crazy. So.
Well, not that I'm a career criminal or that I've ever pulled off any capers or anything, but I would want one that didn't rely on it never stopping snowing again for me to do it, as long as this weather holds up, my criminal mastermind will get me through.
Yeah. And I don't know how he sold the car so quick, if he just, basically was desperate enough to say, hey, I'll take $200 or $2,000 for this. Oh, no, there's no paperwork. Don't worry about the VIN number. We're good.
Yeah, I
might not want to ride around downtown Louisville on this thing, but anyway.
I assume you guys have a pink slip or something similar to it there.
Oh, yeah, we got a pink slip, VIN numbers. They track all that.
Yeah, so. I don't know. Maybe over there everybody keeps their pink slip in the car, and it's literally just as easy as jumping in and signing your name on something.
I don't know. I don't think that's the way it works, but anyway, I know you brought up something the other day you wanted me to talk about, and let's just kind of go into that if you want to.
Yeah,
you want to know some locker room stories.
Yeah, so I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they were asking just like, hey, is there anything, any stories about, like, they kept calling it a green room. And so,
okay.
So like, I guess the sort of my questions would be is every show pretty much similar? Is it always a locker room? Have you ever seen anything that was different than a locker room? What's your experience there?
Oh yeah, well, ask my brother. I won't reveal his character, but let's just say this: we did a show. Marlowe was a multi-millionaire, had a country music place up on a country music highway, down 23 around Pikeville Way. Okay, well, one Labor Day weekend. This has been a good. Several years back, would have say that, and he got a hold of me to run a professional wrestling show. Now he has stables. He had a mansion, stables, barns. He had country gospel rock groups coming in. I mean, he had it all like a 3-day festival, man, for that weekend. And he wanted wrestling because he had wrestling way back when. He used to bring the ICW back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
He had a bar big enough to run wrestling in it. Yeah, Marlowe's. Anyway, I booked a show there, and I got some. I'll say this: some guys that were so hot, I got some serious heat from them because when it came time I got the money up front, of course. When we got there, and Marlowe's putting me over, I'm putting him over. Boom, 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 and he goes, "Well, you got 2 places to dress at." He goes, "You are more welcome to use this front room of this house right here." Big old nice entrance, air conditioned, and this is very, very hot, first week of September weather. And he goes, then the other dressing room can be at bus out there. Well, there's a big old bus that I think Charlie Manson must have flew in and dropped off over on the other side of the hill. Had the windows blacked out and this and that. He said, yeah, no one could be able to see in there. You guys can check. So I said, there's the Hills locker room, man, right there.
Yeah.
Well, my brother and Scotty Ace, Primetime Jones, several other fucking guys were hot, man, literally hot, about having to dress in that old school bus, man. So yeah, I've seen that. Now, in Canada, I've had to go. It was spot shows that we did for Wednesday. We used to have a spot show in addition to our regular towns, and we did one at a rodeo. So, man, we had a dress there, and the locker room was just basically the back of a barn, man,
Yeah.
Muddy as fuck because it had been raining and stuff, and, that was our dressing room, was just, like the side of a barn door, getting there, drop your drawers or whatever. In Japan, believe it or not, I wrestled on top of a mall, a big mall. I made mention, I think, when we were talking about these tall buildings in Ashland back during the Bluegrass Con. As you can imagine in Tokyo, some pretty damn tall buildings. I don't know, we weren't the tallest one because it's just a mall, so maybe 5, 6 stories up. But we were on the roof, and of course they get some rain there. And the ring had already been set up, and we were at the show, and they had 2 tents just that you could peel out, like pinch outdoor tents. And if it wasn't for those tents, we'd have been soaked. Because the only time we went out was to get in a ring and wrestle and run right back into that tent. So I've dressed in tents before, on top of mall parking lots. That's pretty crazy, So those, they got some impromptu locker rooms. Now, more to the question, a lot of times you'll go, if you got a high school gym, typically you have a home and a visitor's locker room, or, a boys and a girls locker room at least.
Yeah.
And, either referee can walk back and forth between them, or, we've had it on tape recorder or what have you. You just know your bookings when you come in. But now, in your bigger company, like, when Smoky Mountain and WCW and WWE, you have production meetings and things like that. Got a lot of stuff typed up that give you, to be written on a door, or tell you where to go for the war room, or for productions at, or if you're invited to if you're in on that production meeting, you'll have a sheet as to, which segment you're on, that segment, 1 through 8 or however long you're shooting for or what have you. Those are all generally pretty good, stable kind of things. You go to catering and they just take over every building. Vince will set up somewhere, just like, the guys in WCW did or Jimmy did or what have you. We set up an office and then again, you go to the locker room. Now, my first experience, my first match on September 11th, 1988 in Hayside, Virginia. I wrote about this in my book. It's, man, when you're in high school and I'm thinking more like it's a throwback here reference. Porky's, that movie Porky's?
Oh,
a lot of guys are trying to peek through the hole to see the girls in the shower.
I loved that movie when I was a kid, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I always wanted to be in a girl's locker room. I mean, who didn't, right? So when I got to go and finally have my first match, the heels were in the girls' locker room, and I thought, all right, man, I'm in a girls' locker room. Well, you got to realize, first of all, they're high school girls, and second of all, it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, and there's no students in there anyway, so that's a good thing. But what is in there is a bunch of elbows and assholes. I mean, you got to add a bunch of swinging dicks.
Swinging dicks and athlete's foot, yeah.
There you go. So I'll get to the athlete's foot in a minute, and the swinging dicks. But so you're in there. You're not obviously thinking, "Oh man, yeah, I'm in the girls' locker room." Woohoo! That's your high school fantasy type thing. I said Porky's or something,
Yeah.
But first time being there, I was in there for a couple white guys, a couple black guys, and a couple Samoan guys. All that with heels and. Like I said, elbows and assholes and swinging dicks, man, basically what's in there. So that was my experience for that. Let's go on to Big Dicks there. So this happened at Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and there was a few of those guys there that had them, I'll just say that. And I'm talking baseball bat size.
Jesus Christ.
Down to the knees. Down to the knees, a couple of them. I'm going to try to say it without mentioning names. I'll just say that. But you're talking about athlete's foot. You always want to have a good pair of shower shoes to take with you.
Because you never know when you have to fight Vader in your shower shoes.
There you go.
Yeah,
use your flip-flops to kick someone's head in. You never know. But anyway, I was sitting on a bench after a match, unlacing my boots, and someone come out of the bathroom, out of shower rather, and stood in front of me. And this person, one of a few people called me Smedley in the business, so I give you kind of get it down to who that probably was. Only 2 people there called me Smedley. One of them was a referee. Ricky and Robert was to my left. I remember that. Who I wrestled a whole lot there as a heel too, so I'll just throw that out there at you.
Okay.
Anyway, it said, Smedley, you got shower shoes, boy? And I said, no, I actually had these really good aquatic, Nike aquatic slip-ons I'd wear, but for some reason I'd forgotten them, or they were soaked at home, or I really don't know why I didn't have them, because I normally had them. And he said, well, someone broke a bottle in there. You're going to need some shower shoes. And he kicks his off and says, take mine. And I said, no, man, it's all right. It's okay. I'm good. And I'm like thinking, I'm not looking up. I don't want to borrow this guy's shower shoes. Well, about that time, I'm looking over towards Robert and Ricky, and they just give me a look like, you better look up. I turn and I look. The guys dropped the towel, and there it is, man. I mean, it's like the fucking, I don't know if you remember George Foster from the Reds had a big black baseball bat. So there you go. It's down there about to the knees, and he's got his flip-flops. He kicks them off. He goes, you better use these, Smedley, or I'm going to whip your ass. I said, yes. Okay, yeah. He said, I don't want to see you cut your feet in that shower, boy. And I said, okay, man. And he just stood there, put his hands on his hips and started swinging a little bit. And I was like, oh, man, you motherfucker. They all laughed. Everyone was laughing. I can't remember who was to my right. Honestly, I can't remember. I remember Ricky Robert being there, and there was one other baby face in there. But anyway, I was like, oh, man, yeah, so get to see some big dicks in there if that's your thing, all shapes, sizes, and colors.
Hey,
comes to mind. That to me, that's just.
Can I tell a stupid story real quick?
Please do. And did you figure out who I was talking about?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I started flashing back to that show Spartacus, and they had that episode with the guy they kept calling Horsecock. Because he was literally like dragging one onto his knee. Years and years ago, obviously, when I was a teenager, I had a cousin who was just a little bit older than me, who died when we were in our early 20s. But he had been screwing around with this girl who had a boyfriend. And we're teenagers. We're all hanging out in this parking lot, drinking and bullshit and smoking cigarettes and using dirty words and stuff like that, And this guy pulls up. My cousin says, "Oh, shit." I go, "What?" He goes, "Oh, it's so-and-so's boyfriend." I said, "Oh, fuck." He goes, "Head towards the truck." So I start moving over towards the truck so we can get out of there, is what I'm thinking. Guy comes up, takes a swing at my cousin, but he was moving forward and he fucking went down over his own feet. It's that you've seen it where people just fucking too much momentum. Yeah, and you just go straight down. So my cousin turns around and fucking rib kicks the guy with the point of his cowboy boots. Just right in the ribs. And then he walks over to his truck, reaches into the back seat. It was an Isuzu Pup, ugliest little truck you've ever seen, right? He reaches in there, pulls something out, and he turns around and he starts whipping this fucking guy with something that it looked like a fucking rubber hose. And we jump in the truck, we're taking off. He throws it on the floorboard on my side of the truck. I look down, and it's a fucking black dildo as big as my forearm with a fucking handle on it like a nightstick.
Oh, jeez.
And we're driving, and I'm like, "What the fuck, man?" That guy's going to call the cops. He goes, "What's he going to do? Tell him some little white guy with a huge black cock beat him for 10 minutes? He's not going to say shit." And then we're driving for a few more minutes. I look down again, and I go, "Hey, Chris, why do you have a huge black dildo in your truck?" He's like, "Don't fucking ask." I was like, "All right, okay."
Oh, man, that guy's probably still traumatized to this day.
Oh, I would imagine. You don't get whipped by a dildo and not fucking flinch every time you see somebody fucking move. God damn it. Oh. Hey, so let me ask you.
I'll tell you one more.
Oh, I was going to ask you a question.
I just got one more cock story.
Okay.
This took place actually in a trailer out in a field, a step up from a fucking bus, okay?
Okay.
It was in Smoky Mountain, and it was down in Martin County, Kentucky, which is just an hour and a half from where I'm at right now. They have I can't remember what festival they have every year, but anyway, we had to dress in a trailer there one year. We had these annual fairs and festivals and stuff we had contracts with, for summer dates that filled in our schedule. And Boo Bradley, or Balls Mahoney, which I knew him as Boo and Balls, but on that particular day, he was in the trailer. He had just been home up to New Jersey and had come back to start the loop. And he's sitting there nude. Now, he's a disgustingly huge, oversized guy, as you know. You know he didn't have the best hygiene. I've talked about that before. I've heard Johnny Candido talk about it,
Yeah.
But he was sitting there just waiting he was like the first one there. I guess we'd driven back from New Jersey or what have you. I said probably him and Tammy and Chris, just got there early. Anyway, he's just sitting there. He goes, "Want to see my dick?" I'd already seen his dick before, and it wasn't directly just towards me. I think Tracy and I was actually walking into the store together. Ricky and Robert wasn't too far behind us. Like I said, and he goes, "Want to see my dick?" And like, fuck, is he talking to me? Because I don't really want to see this guy's dick. I've seen enough of his ass and everything. And man, he stands up, and by this time, a couple more guys are in the trailer, and he flops his dick up in his hand, and he's got it pierced, the old Prince Albert.
Oh, yeah.
So he's running around bragging about, and he showed everyone his dick. And then as what happened was, where people all had to keep coming in and changing and using that trailer, everyone said, throughout the whole evening, "Hey, man, have you seen Boo Bradley's dick yet?" I mean, there was even some fans that followed us around that would come to those shows, and they asked, "Hey, have you seen Boo Bradley's dick yet?" So chalk one up to Boo or Balls Mahoney there for having a Prince Albert and asking people, "Do you want to see my dick?"
Oh, hey, you know what? At least
he showed it.
At least he gave people a choice. He didn't just flop it on their forehead.
Not really. You walk in a guy's naked with his dick in his hand, you don't have much of a choice. But anyway,
shit.
Yeah. I got a couple more. That's the last of the cock stories, I tell you that.
Oh, man. So one of the questions I had for you, now, and I assume this is probably a no, but I had to know. Was there ever a situation where somebody had, that you saw, like somebody got a private dressing room or something and then had some weird ass demands like only green M&Ms or some shit?
Oh, I mean,
not you wouldn't have to say who if you did. It just had you.
Yeah, no, there was, you know, I've been around to enough shows on New York and well, you know, WWE and WCW, where guys did have private rooms and things like that. But I didn't ever witness anything, you know, too bizarre, nothing like that. You know, obviously, girl come in, a girl leave, something like that. You know, maybe you know something's going on behind the green door, if you will, but I never where someone said, you know, we have to do this, this, and this, or have that, you know. Yeah. No.
Only this brand of bottled water or some shit. Yeah.
No.
And then here's my question for you. Okay. Besides Bobby Eaton, did dressing rooms or any of these places, did they have like a concierge? Like if you fucking ripped your trousers or something, was there somebody else on hand, or did you just hope Bobby Eaton was there with his duffel bag of tricks?
Now in WWE they have seamstresses and stuff there at one hand. They're people on some of those TVs. They're making costumes that the guys are out there wrestling. Actually, wow. So I've seen it where guys are getting costumes made and also getting haircuts and beard trims in the back. You know, for big shows like that. Yeah, where they've paid them to come in. Well, you know,
look, you've always said that their production is top flight. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. A couple more I had was we had a show. We had a 3-day run with brought Tommy Rich in. I just talked to Tommy a few weeks ago on the phone. He was here for a show, I think in early December. So we had a show, one in West Virginia and 2 in Kentucky. And on the third night, we were in Ashland, and a couple guys that weren't booked but did wrestle independently come down to see Tommy and have a few beers. And we had taken some Gatorade down there, and there was no beer yet. And he goes, "You know what goes good with that Gatorade, don't you? Some vodka." So that was pretty funny, because we ought to start cracking up, man, because we knew it was just a matter of time before he started on the gimmick. So and one other one, my friend that passed away, the Dark Shadow, Carl. My brother would be mad if I didn't mention this story here. We were in a show in West Virginia, and see if I get this right, man. So the heels are in one locker room and the face are in another locker room. It was the War Memorial, so it's actually an auditorium type situation, a big gym, big stage, really nice, you know, built probably, you know, say late 40s, you know, being a war memorial. It's one of those places they've even kept up to this day. But my brother and I sitting there talking, just, you know, relaxing, getting ready to go over some matches and stuff. And here comes Carl, the Dark Shadow, who had already walked into the building in his mask to the heel locker room. And we saw him walking in, you know. We're sitting there putting the matches together, whether my brother and I are. And here comes Carl into the babyface locker room with his grip, throws it down there and says, "Man, you know what? I told them guys over there in the other locker room, I must be in the wrong locker room. They was over there talking. One guy was going to rip this guy's head off. One guy was going to hurt this guy. One guy was talking about how he beat a guy up with a chair." And he said, "Man, I just got up." And he said, "I must be in the wrong locker room," he said, "because I'm here with the actors. You are just mean and tough. You are wrestlers. I'm getting out of here." And he told me and my brother and a couple other baby faces there, and we just started cracking up because he was so dead serious that them guys they're shooting over there, you know. He's like, "I'm here to work, boys," you know. But yeah, he came out and worked the heel, leaving and exiting the babyface locker room. But it worked. It only worked for a guy like Carl. I'll say that. The Dark Shadow, may rest in peace. But wanted to tell that story because that's pretty funny too.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's good.
And if you're a fan, you're sitting there going, "Wait a minute, didn't that?" And there's only about 75 people there. I'll say it was for a drug-free prom fundraiser. And that school must not have had too many drug-free students.
That sounds like a blast.
Yeah. So we, like I said, about 75 people, but they, it's good matches and stuff. But, you imagine sitting there and you see this guy walk in with a mask. He goes to the heel locker room where the bad guys, as you assume, and you come out and just goes in the other one and still comes out and works, out. It's just crazy. So I got one more for you. Smoky Mountain one. Harris Brothers.
Oh God.
High school gym, or I don't think it was at Morristown High School. Anyway, summertime, about 5 o'clock, no one's in the building except for the boys. Got a production room set up, got a couple of locker rooms set up. Probably, just people coming in, myself and whoever's doing TV that day, TV crews out there, setting up lights and this and that. And I don't know which one, and if I did know, I wouldn't say which one it was, because they're meaner than hell and tough as nails, as big as can be, and that's the Harris twins. They opened up a fucking locker room door and threw in a pack of damn firecrackers.
Oh, God.
And it sounded like the god-awfulest. I was in the next room. I was not in the locker room they threw them into, and I'm glad about that, because it was so damn loud and so scary. You'd have thought gunfire. Nowadays I think someone's going to jail over that, And people come out of other rooms. Corny come out of, production. I think people from the ring crew scattered out in the gym. It was just no one knew what the fuck was going on. But that was one of them pranks.
Well,
and
I tell
you this, Sandy Scott was none too happy about it, and he let them know. And Sandy wasn't someone to fuck with.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's, I can just see that because it's a lot of hard surfaces, big open space, it fucking echoes forever. My ears are ringing just thinking about it, Yeah,
it had like these metal caged lockers in the on a concrete floor and like a wooden bench, So it's just, that was loud, man.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of everyone. That's just some of the antics and shit that goes on. Nowadays I'm sure it's a different environment. Locker room, if I go to one now, it's just usually got one big locker room or two small ones that back to each other because everyone knows what the fuck's going on anyway, and which I don't like, but at least they go out separate entrances or whatever. But for the most part, like I said, the bigger companies, they pretty much come in, especially if it's not a high school gym or an auditorium. They come into one of those big buildings, and like I said, they set up an office for, Vince or whoever, the road agents, whoever's going to be there. They set up catering, or if it's not a, big, if it's just a house show, they provide a bunch of snacks and drinks and stuff for everyone in the back. They don't have a big time catering like they do for the pay-per-views and stuff, but they do provide it. And they block off a section in the back, because you can drive your car through there a lot of times underground, things like that. When you come up, you got wide open spaces back there. A lot of people work in that building. They usually got them big curtains up and block off a section where all the guys and girls are at anyway, so you're separate that way too. So anyway, I don't know, enough boring stuff about locker rooms, I guess, buddy.
Well, where's the cleanest locker room or dressing room you ever found?
Oh man, cleanest.
Yep.
I don't know that let's see.
Not even in Japan?
No, I'm trying to think. I was thinking maybe Australia. Japan, no, some of those places are so far out there, man. You're just no.
I'm shocked by that.
Yeah, well,
I might have just lost a bet.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I'm just trying to think of the cleanest locker rooms. Like, man, that's a hard one to answer because when you get there, usually they're in pretty good shape. Sometimes not so much when you leave,
right?
To come and do their cleaning again. But I'm drawing a blank, man. Just nice locker rooms, facilities and stuff.
Well, then let's go on to my last question.
Yes, go ahead.
Who had the best catering out of everybody you worked for?
Oh, I hear New York catering is just killing it right now, man. That's what I hear.
Well, you got plenty of money to spend on it now.
Yeah, exactly. But, WCW, when I had catering, if we was in Texas, they'd have barbecue and brisket and whatever that area was known for,
Yeah.
But they always had a chicken selection, a beef selection usually, sometimes a beef and pork selection depending, many times a fish selection, always 2 or 3 different kind of pasta selections, Alfredo, red sauce. I mean, always had tea, coffee, milk, pies, cakes, not a lot of sodas, waters, of course, a lot of waters around. I don't remember a lot of them having soda pops around unless it was an event sponsored by one. You just get them out of cooler. Now in Australia, their catering, they just had every day before the show, they had 2 big old 55-gallon vats full of one had VB to Victoria's Bitter in it, the other one had Foster's in it, and then they catered whatever city was in. They either had a couple big old pizza chains, 2 or 3 different kind, bringing pizza, fried chicken, just an array of food every night. We had one time we had catering from Ritz-Carlton, because that's where we were going to. We stayed at that first night was a Ritz, and some way they brought in the catering for that, stuff like that. But I don't remember catering, and I may have mentioned this before. It drive you absolutely fucking crazy for someone to come in and bitch about having to be there on a show, and you're like, wait a minute, you got flew into this town, you're getting paid to do something you fucking like, and they're feeding you, and you're still finding a reason to bitch. Are you crazy? And there were still people in that position that would do that, and it would drive myself and so many other guys that I knew would be like, what in the hell is wrong with that person? You got to be a very negative person or just unhappy, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Ungrateful and unhappy, but I never was ungrateful, that's for damn sure. And I was thankful to a lot of places. EA Sports, when I was there, we got to eat at we stayed at the Pacific, townhouses. They had a big, nice restaurant. And anyway, every morning you got a nice breakfast. They catered something from a nice restaurant every day at lunch because they had to take a break for a union for doing the recording and stuff. And every day they brought in something different. That just one day we asked for pizza, and they was like, "Really? Y'all want pizza?" And we like, "Hell yeah!" They're killing us about his other, big fancy nice meals for lunch. It's just lunch,
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, we'd be happy with some club sandwiches one day and some pizza one day. And they was like, "Are y'all sure?" Like, yes, we're sure.
Yeah, I don't need
but,
7
sometimes
pounds
it's
of
so
food
good you
for
got to
lunch,
cut back
yeah.
some,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's yeah. That cleanest locker room's kind of got me, man. I don't know.
Sorry. I thought for some reason I just figured there'd be like a place in Japan that was like, yeah, the whole time we were changing, they had somebody there scrubbing the floor on their hands and knees with a brush, You know how the Japanese are,
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna give it up for the bus out in the field for my brother for that memory there for the locker room in the field. So
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes you get gone and you're just in a building and they all start looking the same. You just walk in, you know where to park. You walk in, what your schedule is. You know what you're going to go down and, you're going to put your stuff in a certain area. Like Knoxville Civic Coliseum, I knew exactly where I was putting my stuff at. Knew exactly, who I was going to see, when I was going to see him, what was going on, what the deal was. Same thing in Freedom Hall over in Johnson City. I knew where to park, knew where to get in at, knew where I was putting my stuff at. I knew where production was at, knew where the gimmick table was at, and it's just like, okay, I'm in this loop. This is just where it's at, So, yeah, and no complaints, man.
Yeah.
'Cause I'd do it all again, and I'd do it 10 times harder, 10 times faster, and 10 times better.
Oh man. Well, experiences carry a lot of value. So, if you got a second chance, you sure get a shot at it. Hey, Bobby, I was just thinking about something. Back on New Year's Eve, you and I talked, and you broke the news to me that Betty White had passed away.
Yes.
And I said to you, she must have been within months of turning 100. She was within 18 days.
18 days.
Yep. 18 days later was her 100th birthday.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking, and my text, I had you on speaker, and my text flipped over there, and someone had had DM'd me and said, Betty White passed away at age 99. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to check out any of the Craig Ferguson stuff with her?
I pulled it up and saw it was a ton of it, and I did not watch it yet.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I just if anybody out there's having a Jones for some Betty White funniness, Craig Ferguson, Betty White, look it up on YouTube. Fucking hours of it, and it's all great. Yeah. So I think we're on an hour now. So let's go ahead and wrap. We didn't do too bad there, man, for not having anything planned. So, Bobby, I am going to announce real quick that I am starting another podcast with a friend of mine. It's going to be a Star Trek very specific podcast. So if you're a giant nerd, keep an ear out. I'll let you know when it comes up. My dog.
Awesome. Good luck with that.
Well, thank you. My dog wants to say hello and goodbye, I guess. And, all right, Bobby, anything you want to bring up before we go?
No, man. Just remember, get a book if you can. Buy a T-shirt if you can. Help sponsor the show. Appreciate it very much. Fans, as much as you missed us, I've missed you. I'll tell you that because I like the interaction. Please follow me on Twitter at BobbyBlaze744. That's where I respond mostly back at. Like I said, Jeremy's at the Geekest Cast, or also you can hit us up at the Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter and on Facebook on that one. And I love the interaction. And I just wish everyone a happy New Year. And Jeremy, I hope that we are off better than we were in 2020 and 2021. So let's make this a good year, folks.
Yeah, let's let's try keeping, everybody be a little bit responsible for the people around you this year. Don't be so fucking selfish. That's the one thing I want to say to everybody. You know who you are, Also, there's a guy up in Canada who I guess had some really shitty things to say about some people who lost their job. Fuck you, and come to the States. I'll show you how to make somebody bleed who doesn't suspect it. Fucking asshole. All right, so I got that out of my system. It's been percolating.
Yes, you did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it's been percolating in my head for a couple days. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And for the late Tex Johnson, myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Double B Bobby Blaze, the member of the Jim Cornette family. I think the way I close the show is I say bye-bye, everybody.